Hey everyone, and welcome back to America Current Affairs. Today we're diving into a really shocking story out of India. It asks a pretty tough question. What happens when a city that's famous, celebrated, for being the cleanest in the whole country suddenly finds out there's a deadly poison flowing right out of its taps? Yeah, this is a story about shiny awards and a very tragic secret hiding just beneath the surface.
You know, this quote right here, it just cuts straight to the heart of the crisis. Just imagine for a second. You live in a city that's literally famous for being spotless, and then one day you discover the water in your own home, the water from your tap, is deadly. For the people of Indore, this wasn't just some bad dream. It became a very, very grim reality. And the human cost here, it's absolutely devastating. We're talking more than 10 people dead. And get this, one of them was a 6-month-old baby. A baby. On top of that, hundreds more had to be rushed to the hospital. And why? All because they did something we all do every single day. They trusted the water coming into their homes.
So, you gotta be asking yourself, right? How on earth does something like this happen in a city that's constantly being praised for its cleanliness? That's really the big question here. You see, this story, it really has two very different sides. There's the shiny public image, and then there's this dark, corroded secret that's been lurking just underneath it all.
Yeah, you heard that right. Not once, not twice. For 7 years in a row, Indore has been officially named India's cleanest city. 7! It's been held up as this perfect, shining example of how to run a city, a model of civic pride.
And this right here, this just shows you the insane contrast, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the picture-perfect, award-winning city. And on the other, you have the simple, everyday water tap that was delivering poison. It's the perfect visual, really. It shows a city being celebrated for everything you can see on the surface, while this lethal, deadly problem was just festering, completely out of sight, underground.
Okay, so what was the source of this poison? Your mind probably goes to some kind of complex chemical spill from a factory, right? Something complicated. But the truth is way, way simpler. And honestly, that makes it so much more horrifying. And here it is, the one crucial, catastrophic mistake. A sewage line, a line carrying raw sewage from a new toilet, was somehow connected directly to the main pipeline for drinking water. Let that sink in. It's a mistake so basic, so fundamental, it's actually hard to wrap your head around how it could even happen.
This really lays out the whole deadly chain reaction. Once that sewage got into the clean water supply, the clock was ticking. It was only a matter of time. Suddenly, all these dangerous germs and bacteria are flooding the entire system, and families who have no idea what's going on are using this poisoned water for everything. Drinking, cooking, brushing their teeth. And the result? A massive, massive outbreak of severe illness that, as we know, can turn life-threatening in a heartbeat. But look, a mistake this huge, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's not just one person having a bad day. No, this points to something much bigger. A total collapse of the very systems that are supposed to protect people, to keep them safe. And this timeline, honestly, it's infuriating because it shows this whole disaster could have been prevented. For days before everything exploded, people living there knew something was wrong. They were reporting a foul smell coming from their water. They were complaining, but their warnings, they were just ignored. It was only after hundreds of people ended up in the hospital that officials finally decided to act. But by then, it was too late. The damage was already done.
And when you start digging, you realize the warning signs were there the whole time, just buried in the city's own data. Forget the shiny awards for a second. The reality is, the infrastructure was failing. Only about half the city even has tap water coverage. Nearly 40% of the clean water just gone, lost to leaks. And on top of all that, the city is so deep in debt that funding basic, essential repairs is almost impossible.
All right, so let's do what you always do in these situations. Let's follow the money. Because when you do, it reveals a system that's just under incredible pressure. And it really helps explain how something as fundamental as safe drinking water was just allowed to fail.
So you can see here, the money for the city's water operations comes from three main places, right? There's the fees people pay on their bills, general taxes, and then subsidies from the government. But here's the kicker. The key problem is that when you add all those pieces up, it's just not nearly enough. Not enough to run the system safely. And this right here, this is the absolute core of the money problem. Think about it like this. For every single dollar it costs the city to clean and deliver water, they only get back 21 cents from people's water bills. That gap is enormous. It means there's just no money left over for the important stuff, like proper maintenance or replacing old crumbling pipes. The whole system is basically running on fumes. And if you're wondering where the money is going, well, a huge chunk of the budget, a staggering 41%, is being spent on just one thing: electricity. Pumping all that water takes a massive amount of power. So when almost half your budget is just going to pay the electric bill to keep the pumps on, that leaves pretty much nothing for the really essential work, like, inspecting the pipes and preventing a disaster exactly like this one.
A story like this is a terrifying wake-up call for all of us. So it begs the question, what can you actually do to protect your family if you ever, even for a second, suspect that your own tap water isn't safe?
Okay, so health experts have some pretty simple but really effective advice. First and foremost, the most important thing you can do is boil any water you plan to drink or cook with for at least 5 to 10 minutes. That's key. If you can, switch to trusted bottled water, especially if you have infants or elderly folks in the house. And of course, all that basic hygiene stuff, like washing your hands thoroughly and being extra careful with raw foods, like salads, that becomes even more critical.
And this quote really brings it all full circle, back to the central, painful lesson of this whole story. A city's real health, it's not measured by the things you can see, right? It's measured by those essential, often invisible systems that are working or not working to keep people safe.
So I guess I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What does it actually mean for a city to be clean? Is it just about having shiny streets and a shelf full of awards? Or is it about something more fundamental, like the basic promise that the water you and your family drink won't make you sick? The tragedy in Indore really forces all of us to stop and rethink what our priorities should be. Hey, for more explainers like this one where we really break down the stories behind the headlines, make sure you're following America Current Affairs. Thanks so much for joining us today.